What's going on, guys? My name is Noble. Welcome back to the channel, and in a video that I'm really happy to make, and a video that you guys have been, quite frankly, been right to be angry that it hasn't been out yet and have been asking me constantly. Welcome to the level 75 Sith Sorcerer PvP guide for Lightning Spec. Now, guys, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you what this isn't. I'm not going to go through every single ability and tell you what it is and how it works. What I will do is go over Lightning, how to best play it, and what abilities to best utilize to make the spec better or to get the most out of it. And we will go through some scenarios if there's time, but I don't want to make a 40-minute video for you guys to sit through. Maybe I'll do a part 2, part 3, you know, whatever you guys want, whatever isn't in this video that you guys want to see, comment below at the end and tell me if there's anything else you want me to add, and I can make a part 2. So, let's go ahead and get started right with the utilities. So, in Skillful, I take Sith Defiance, which increases damage reduction by 3%. Then I take Tempest Mastery, increases the damage dealt by Force Storm by 25%. And then I take Empty Body, increases all healing received, does not affect stolen life. I'll do a quick little, description or reason why I picked all of those. Who wants more healing? Me, I do. When I'm in rank, do I want more healing? I always need healing, to quote Overwatch. So, pick that up. Why do I take Tempest Mastery? Well, cleave is a thing. So, getting people clumped up, having your affliction on all of them, and force storming does mega damage. Mega damage. So you want that. And then who doesn't want the increased damage reduction by 3%? Down here in Masterful, I take Suppression, and then I take Conspiring Force, and then I take Lightning Barrier. So we'll maybe spend a little bit more time on these. We'll start with Lightning Barrier. Your static barrier crackles with electricity, shocking attackers for 10k damage, energy damage, when it absorbs direct damage to you. This effect cannot or does not affect static barriers placed on allies and cannot occur more than once each second. So imagine if, someone's like hitting you with like freaking, I don't know, blazing bolts. It's gonna do some damage, which is nice. Conspiring Force is your targets affected by your affliction are slowed by 30% for its duration. It's great to have a slow. Who doesn't like slowing people down? Keeps them stuck in the cleave, you know what I'm saying? Then Suppression, activating Cloud Mine grants Suppression, which increases damage reduction by 25% for 6 seconds. This is arguably one of my favorite utilities. 25% for 6 seconds. That's huge. I need to do a better job at popping Suppression. Sometimes I miss it because up until I moved to Satil Shan and actually elevated the level of play, I didn't use it that much. So down here in Heroic, last tier, Immersion. Force Speed grants Immersion, removing all movement impairing effects and granting immunity to them for the duration. That's good. Do that. Shapeless Spirit reduces all damage taken while stunned by 30%. Additionally, reduces damage taken from area effects by 30%. So imagine if you're stunned and there's AoE on you, you're going to be able to tank that pretty freaking well, providing you, handle the situation correctly. And then Force Ability, Thundering Blast, Innervate, and Force Leech can be activated while moving. That's pretty self-explanatory. So, those are my utilities. These right here in the Discipline path, I don't really need to go over with you. The only thing that I will go over in terms of Lightning are these 3 abilities, or, kinda. I will go through Thundering Blast, Lightning Flash, and Lightning Bolt. So, the tactical that I recommend is Stormwatch. We'll get into that in a little bit. So, activating Lightning Flash will grant you Stormwatch. And it also will reduce the activation time of your next Crushing Darkness by 0.5 seconds. This effect lasts up to 12 seconds. This is really nice, especially if you're not being focused and if you're doing single target. Still use it as a filler if you're being focused and you don't have time to get off Crushing Darkness. Lightning Bolt, hurls a bolt of lightning at the target, dealing, the damage that you can see, and slowing the target down for 30 seconds. This, you only want to use when you can use it instantly, and you do that by using Force Speed, which we'll get into here. I'll show you. Actually, I'll just show you guys right now. So, when you use Force Speed, this pops up, and you get 2 charges of instant ability. Alright? Instant lightning bolt. That's when you want to use it. The only time where you ever want to cast this is when it's a 2v4 and you're winning and you just want to have fun. Alright? That's when I would recommend just casting it, because no one's probably going to be on you anyway. So be cognizant of that. Let's quickly talk about the new ability that was given in 6.0, Volt Rush. Guys, this is nothing special. If anything, it's a filler ability. It doesn't really do much, especially in ranked. It's a filler ability when your big ones are on CD. That's what you use it for. It really doesn't do anything else outside of that. So now that we've talked about utilities, and now that we've went through some key things, let's get to how you want to manage your cooldowns before we jump into the rotation. So the first thing you want to pop is you want to pop your Polarity Shift. Actually, you want to pop, you want to pop Polarity Shift, and you want to pop Recklessness. But you want to pop Polarity Shift first. So, your connection to the Force shifts, granting 20% alacrity and immunity to pushback and interrupts for 15 seconds. This is good for your opener if you're getting leapt on, because these are the things that you can get interrupted on. You can get interrupted on Thundering Blast, you can get interrupted on Crushing Darkness, and if you're being bad, well, you can get interrupted in Lightning Bolt, but you can't get interrupted with Force Storm, which is important to know for later. And then Recklessness grants 2 charges of Recklessness, which increases the Force critical chance of your direct attacks and heals by 60%. That is huge. That is huge. Each time for a direct Force ability critically hits, a time-channeled Force ability is activated, 1 charge is consumed, lasts 20 seconds. So, that would be like, you want to use it for Thundering Blast, or, I mean, imagine people using Recklessness just to use Force Storm, but it would be more like Recklessness for Chain Lightning and Thundering Blast. Those are going to be your 2 main things that you're going to be using that are going to really help out with that. So, keep that in mind. Now, why do you want to pop this before this? So, if you look at the cooldown, you have a longer cooldown on Polarity Shift, right? So, pop this first, that pop Recklessness, so by the time Recklessness is off cooldown, you have Polarity Shift. Or every time Polarity Shift's off cooldown, like you have your things back up again at roughly the same time. Sometimes I'm bad and do Recklessness, then Polarity Shift, but it's negligible, especially when it comes to solo queues. You've got some differences there. Anyway, that is pretty much the offensive cooldowns and how you want to manage them. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into the rotation. We'll do this quickly. Not quickly, but like we'll run through it, and then we'll break it down a little bit more. So, every target you are attacking better have Affliction on it. Cast a powerful Force of Affliction upon the target, dealing 14,000 damage over 9 seconds. This significantly affects Thundering Blast. Thundering Blast automatically is a critical hit on targets that have been affected by your affliction. So let's just quickly, for example, let's see if this works in the training dummy. Let's do a Thundering Blast for about 8,100 damage without affliction. Now let's add affliction to the target and do another Thundering Blast. Literally double the damage, 14.7k. That's what you want to do. Alright? So every time your target has affliction on it, that's when you want to use Thundering Blast. Now, we were talking about cleave. If you want to do this, I mean, this is part of the rotation, if you will, because PvP doesn't have an exact rotation, aside from like getting your procs and your crits in. Force Storm. I clicked on that just because, but Force Storm does mega damage when affliction is active, and it also will proc your Chain Lightning to activate instantly. But it's important to know that you don't want to just cast Force Storm to get your instant proc on Chain Lightning. That's usually what Thundering Blast is for, okay? So, I'm just going to go through the rotation, and I'll say it all as I'm doing it, and then we will break it down a little bit more. So I'm not going to use Recklessness or Polarity Shift right now. I'm just going to go through the rotation, alright? So you want to hit Affliction, Thundering Blast, Chain Lightning. Then you can do the Lightning Flash to proc your Crushing Darkness. And then you have your filler abilities like Shock, Bolt Rush, and when you force speed, you have your Lightning Bolt. This also gives you some stun DR. And then your Chain Lightning is back up because this also will proc it after a couple seconds. And like I said, also Force Storm will proc it as well. When do you want to use Force Storm? All the time. You want to use it when everyone's clumped up. And see, this is a good time to use it is when your Polarity Shift is active so you don't get interrupted and makes you look terrible. So let's for a second. So say you're in an arena, right? And you want your things ready to go before you start combat. A good thing to do is to force speed ahead of time. You guys see me do this all the time because you have that instant ability ready to go. And that activated my Chain Lightning. But what I usually do to activate my Chain Lightning, just to get me into the habit of using Force Storm, is I will, before I do anything, before I barrier, I will quickly tab and do Force Storm to get the instant proc on Chain Lightning. So be aware of that. Alright? Now, like I said, your filler abilities essentially are Shock, Volt Rush, Force Storm, which is still technically a main ability, and Lightning Flash. But I use Lightning Flash a lot, so some of you might do it differently, some of you might not. Potato, whatever. So I will go through the full rotation real quick without, stopping and let you know how I, do these things. So I'll just pop Polarity Shift for the heck of it. Pop it early. Pop Recklessness, Affliction, Thundering Blast, Chain Lightning, Lightning Flash, Crushing Darkness, Shock. Then I'll be force speeding around, getting my 2 lightning, lightning bolts. My Thundering Blast is back. My Chain Lightning is also back. Notice that my Affliction is reapplied after I use Crushing Darkness or Chain Lightning. So watch me do this. It should restore. Yep, Affliction restores. This only works for single target. Also, I should mention, you guys see all that damage? That's what happens when you use Lightning Flash. You will get Stormwatch. This is why I like it so much. It really helps when you're trying to kill the enemy at the very end, and it also does great supplemental damage. Just like literally, just to watch it, like it does really nice supplemental damage. Like I like it. I like it a lot. It helps a lot. It freaks out the player more, thinking they're just getting hit constantly when in reality it's just Stormwatch. But anyway, that's more of a mental thing than anything, right? So that is the rotation. And when there's a group of people, I will Force Storm. See that proc on Chain Lightning? Bam! My Affliction is reset. Now, this Affliction, this is important to know, it does not refresh on everyone. It only affects single target. So constantly, if you're in regular war zones and you're practicing, practice tab targeting people and just casting Affliction. And then when they're all grouped up together, you already have your Force Storm ready to go. It's going to hit them for mega damage, and you're going to have them all in a group, like I said. Bam, Chain Lightning. That's a lot of damage to a lot of players, and it's going to make people freak out. So, that is the rotation. And I will go through it, again for you, but I want to quickly talk about a few things. You shouldn't be really running out of force in Lightning. I have run out of force because sometimes I'm either careless with the abilities and spamming when I shouldn't, or I'm off healing and end up using a lot of force. It really is dependent on the situation. But generally speaking, you should not run out of it. So just keep that in mind, because when you get this up to 4 stacks, it completely stops your regeneration of force. So just be cognizant of that. Now, Force Slow, I rarely use. I just don't use it. I never need to, because I'm usually within 30 meters, and I'm trying to stay away from the fight, because you're range DPS. You don't need to be right here to do your damage. This is what I see a lot of Storks doing in regs and sometimes in ranked. They'll be fighting right in front of their guy who's melee, and there's no reason to. Utilize force speed. Kite around. You don't really have to stop moving when you're in this spec. As you can see, I'm just moving around constantly. The only time I stop is when I need to cast Crushing Darkness if I have the time, or Force Storm. That is when I'm stopping. Everything else, you can be moving. And my force speed is already back up. You can be moving throughout this entire process. So practice moving every time you can. Practice moving, because when you move, you make the meter distance. It sounds really simple, but you make the meter distance longer, and it helps you to LOS. So imagine if this was a pillar and there was a sniper. Sniper can't hit me, but what I can do is use force speed, come out for a little bit, hit some abilities, go back. He has to wait. I can pop out, do more, and keep doing damage. Keep my affliction on him. Bam, he's still taking damage. He will have to come to me if he wants to hit me. And if he comes to me, you just move. You keep moving. That's the point. Line of sight is very important when you're doing ranged DPS, and honestly, when you're fighting melee. You'll see me do this a lot in Orbital Station. When I'm trying to kite a Marauder, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go around the GTN and mess with him with my phase walk, because he's spending more time trying to do damage to me than he's actually doing damage. So you're minimizing DPS. That's one of your main jobs for staying alive as a sorcerer, like trying to negate people's damage as much as possible. Also, guys, we can't show you this right now, but like, use your interrupt when you can. It stops people from doing damage to you. It's very important. Do it. Also, I can't go over cleanse right now because that's a very situational thing, and when a healer calls out for a cleanse or something, you can try to cleanse, but that's really situational and dependent on what you're doing and the team you have. One thing I will say, when you're being targeted, first of all, always make sure this is on. If you don't see a bubble on you, put it back on. Obviously, you have, you know, a debuff that you have to wait 12 seconds until you can use it again, but always use it. When this is white and ready to go, use it. Make sure you use it. It will save your life. Also, use your adrenals as your first line of defense, maybe second line of defense. Don't use your barrier or your freaking phase walk. Actually, use your phase walk. That was stupid of me. Use your phase walk. If you're being focused, immediately phase walk. Don't wait. Don't panic barrier. Phase walk. So if you're, let's just say I'm taking, like, you know, tons of damage, okay? I'm taking tons of damage in the first, like, 5 or 10 seconds. Just phase. They're gonna be busy with something else. Heal up. If you don't have a healer, heal up as best you can. Kite around a little bit. Maybe wait if you can. If you can, wait until you can regen health. Pop your bubble and rejoin the fight. You want to heal up and join the fight as quickly as possible. Do not use barrier. Do not panic barrier as your first ability. When someone knows you've barriered, they know that as soon as it's over, you're toast. Because sure, you have phase walk, but you have nothing to keep them from doing any kind of damage to you. Do not use your barrier first. Always make sure you have resurgence on you. It's just a nice little heal over time. You know, as your power increased, periodic healing, and you have incoming damage reduced. Always use it when you can. It's important that you do that. I'm trying to see if I think of anything that I missed. Abilities like your extraction is situational. You're not gonna have time to use it unless you're a healer, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Do not break until you are white barred. Do not break unless you are white barred. Trust yourself. Remain calm. I'll do another video on that, but it's important to remain calm. I do not. So a lot of people I see take the instant chain, or not chain lightning, the instant whirlwind. I don't. I find it unnecessary. If you need to CC someone, it's going to be the healer, and the healer is not going to be paying attention to you, so you most likely won't get kicked, and you'll be able to get it off. And by kicked, I mean interrupted. I should go on and say that. Kicked, I mean interrupted. So I find that unnecessary to use. So what, real quick, we'll end with some gearing, okay? I'm not geared well. I am still gearing to 306. My stats are completely crazy, and when I settle on the stats that I like, we will talk about it. But you do want to go with a lot of crit and a lot of alacrity. You don't need accuracy. I need to get rid of that, but I'm still in the... See, look at all these mods that are in here. Like, some of these have really crazy mods that need help. I'm still working on it. But I have the 2-piece set bonus for Gathering Storm. In my opinion, you want to get the 6-piece. We talked about Polarity Shift earlier. Activating Force Speed reduces the cooldown of Polarity Shift by 10 seconds. Using Polarity Shift immediately after adds 10 seconds to its duration. So real quick, it lasts for 15 seconds, okay? Adding 10 seconds is 25 seconds. That's almost 30 seconds of freaking interrupt immunity. You should be able to get off a lot of damage. So, quickly going back to stats, crit alacrity, mastery is also a key, right? But I don't need this much endurance, because I have like a tank amplifier on or something. But I am still gearing to 306. But gearing doesn't matter when you're trying to learn rotation and how to play the class. Gear only amplifies your ability as a Sith Sorcerer, okay? That's all it does. So, obviously, it, makes you tougher to kill, all the important things. But guys, that is the Sith Sorcerer level 75 Lightning Spec Guide. I will put the utilities here for you again in case you need them for your reference. So we have Sith Defiance, Tempest Mastery, Empty Body, and Skillful, Suppression, Conspiring Force, Lightning Barrier, and Masterful. And in Heroic, we have Immersion, Shapeless Spirit, Force Mobility. Guys, let me know what you think of the video. I appreciate it. This also works for sages, so if you guys are like, oh, I'm a sage, it's the exact same thing. I won't make a sage guide because this is basically the guide. This is the guide. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think. If you want me to cover more nuances about like specific battles and whatnot, put that in the comments down below, and I'm sure we can get you that. By we, I mean I, because I'm the only one who does this stuff. I'm the only one who still makes only PvP videos. When I say we, I mean I'm going to go talk to my buddies that are better than me, and they're going to destroy me, and then I'll have information for you guys. Anyway, peace!